Hi, Valerie. I hope Japan's a lot of fun. Though I know you're away from home. How are things going there?
I'm good, thanks. It's good to see you, Celine. Everything is well here in Japan. It's very hot though.
I'm sure because you guys are always out and about and having to train and everything, right?
Absolutely. Nice and humid. I like a good sweat up.
So I know it's been a really long journey because you're so far away from your family at the moment. But how have things been?
Oh yeah, so right now I'm in Tokyo and the journey to get here hasn't been the most easiest thing. Obviously with the pandemic, and these games will definitely be remembered as the pandemic games. It was something quite significant for us athletes to actually have the games go ahead, and I feel like it was a perfect situation for us to actually have this event go ahead so people can then take a break from COVID to focus on something that was positive, and it was a way to unite the world. My journey to Tokyo wasn't all smooth sailing. From the last Olympics to these Olympics, I've had two children. It's also been a 5-year gap between the two, and I'm a little bit older than most. Therefore, the recommitting to this journey had to be really thought out, not only for myself but also for my family, because this wasn't a one-man band. This was a multiple people type of band that was going to these Olympics. However, the journey came with its own challenges. Through the pandemic, having to train through the pandemic was really difficult, especially trying to find motivation, not having access to certain facilities. It was quite the journey, but I feel like these games definitely brought a lot of people out of their shells, but it was basically the battle of the mentally tough, in my opinion, because first of all, getting to Tokyo, secondly, there was no spectators. So those athletes who drew energy and that competition kind of atmosphere from the crowd, they had to find something else. To be able to come out and to win a bronze medal as a mum or two was just extraordinary, because I went into these games as the oldest athlete, not ranked in the top five, coming up against girls who were a lot younger than me, had been thrown a lot further than me, not as experienced as I was. So I really had to draw into my experience box and kind of take out from there what I needed to be in the best possible shape mentally to battle this out. But to be able to come away with a bronze medal and look back at what's just happened in the last 5 years to get here was quite overwhelming for me, to the point where I let this massive yell at the end of after my last throw, just in pure elation, because everything had just come together so nicely, and it was a dream come true for me, really. Now, I've won two Olympic gold medals before, but this outnumbered and outweighed both of them together. And people find that a little bit difficult to understand, because nothing feels as nice as winning a gold medal, surely. But when you get on the podium as a mum and that struggle to get there physically, mentally, emotionally, people don't understand exactly how you feel unless you are in that situation of being a mum. You know, the struggle of postnatal depressions, sleepless nights, having to battle two children under two, all of that. You don't know what that feels like unless you've been through it. So it was really just such a sweet moment, really sweet moment. So I shared the moment with my children, and I pulled this out of my bag. And this photo is normally in my training diary, which was in my bag. And I just felt this urge and this want and need to pull them out of my bag and pretty much say, this is my why. This is why I've done what I've done today. And it was a beautiful moment.
Well, for me, like I would have to say that this pandemic, no matter how difficult it is, it really is a silver lining, because my job required me to be out of the house most of the time. Like I'd see my husband like once or twice a week only. And it would have been the same, I think, if I had gone back to work, having my daughter. But this pandemic actually allowed me to kind of slow down and, take a step back and just be home and be present. And I think that was the greatest thing for me, because I was able to witness every single milestone of my daughter. I've literally been with her 24/7 since birth, because here in the Philippines, we've been on a lockdown since March 2020, basically. My circle of people that I see are very limited to just my parents and my brother and his daughter that's the same age. So the world becomes a little small, and there are ups and downs, but I would have to say that, there are more ups. It's just trying to find that way to stay motivated so that I don't bring on my my stress or my problems to my family or to my daughter, because there are times where you just sit down and you're like, when is this ever going to end? Like, we don't see the end of the tunnel. And you're saying we met about a year ago, and look how quickly it's been, and we're back doing the same thing. We're back talking about still this pandemic, where we thought we would have, maybe been far past that. But I guess now, as was human beings, we just kind of learn to adapt. We learn to keep moving, and we learn to focus on the things that we can change, because
I think you always go back to the why you're doing it, right? And I always go back to, actually, why am I doing this? Do I want to do this? Do I still have a passion for it and a love for it? And I think that's what motivated me to continue on this journey. I knew that it wasn't going to be easy. So as a matter of fact, it was a lot harder than any other campaign that I've taken on. But I always went back to the why I was doing this, the purpose for doing it, and my love and passion for the sport, and the want to be to be a professional, but continue to be a professional athlete, but also how can I use this to then inspire more professional athletes, especially female athletes, to have the courage, take time away from their sports, to have a child, and have the courage to then believe in themselves and trust in the process to go back and become an elite athlete. It's possible. Back in the day, it was not as easy as we think, and there was a lot of stigma around it. And if you're a female athlete, if you decided to have a child, that was it. They would cut your contract and sayonara. Where nowadays, there are more and more athletes, female athletes, who are becoming mums and also coming back to being at the top of their game. It's not always easy, but I always went back to my why and where I drew my inspiration, and my kids inspire me on a daily basis. My mother inspired me, and now I draw inspiration from my children, and the want to do that and be an example for them. And to know that females can do anything. My daughter is at the forefront of my thinking when I talk about these things, because I want her to be inspired by the fact that, yes, her mama was a badass and she went out there and did this, and hoping that I can continue to inspire that young youth females coming through, especially where I'm from in South Auckland, where poverty is huge. We can do anything, if you put your mind to it.
Well, again, it all boils down to what's your why. And of course, ever since I gave birth to Tilan, she's my why to everything I do. As cliche as it may sound, it's true. When you become a mom, it's like no one can explain to you what you're going to feel, the ups and downs, the roller coaster that you're going to go through when you become a mom. And everything you do after that is just for your daughter. Like, my husband is like second now. Like, I only talk about my daughter. So of course I wanted to keep motivated, and I wanted to keep doing the things I was passionate about, like painting and designing while at home. So thanks to the pandemic and thanks to my daughter being my motivation, I did come up with a new business line. Actually, I just launched a clothing for babies called Tilly Dolly. So this is with my sister-in-law, who also has a daughter that's the same age as Tilan. And I feel like every time I do something for that project, or create a new line, or we create all these like fun videos for kids online, things that they can do at home during the pandemic, I get motivation, and then I forget about what's happening around me. And this is very important for me to keep, my head up high, so that my daughter also sees that, no matter what happens, if you want to make something work, you can make it work.
Very important to, to kind of have that mindset from the word go. I'm a massive supporter of healthier, longer, better lives. I guess for me personally is aiming every day to kind of tick off one thing on those out of those 4 pillars, right? The think well, eat well, plan well, and move well. If you can put yourself in a situation or give yourself a goal on a daily basis to make one positive choice for you to tick something off on that list, then it's a step further to looking after yourself, because small steps matter. And that's where we have to kind of go back to. We can't do massive things and extraordinary things and expect amazing things to happen overnight. It's actually just doing what you need to do to help you personally, but also for your mental health. Mental health is something that's been thrown around a lot, especially in the sporting world, quite significantly in New Zealand, especially with events that have happened in the last couple of weeks. But making these small steps is going to really help you. But I think sometimes as mums, and me personally, I actually feel guilty if I give myself a little bit of time to be nice to myself. And I have to be reminded, I need to be kind to myself. I need to take time for me. And I forget that because I'm on this trip, I'm an athlete, and then now I'm a coach, and I'm a mum at home, and then I'm a wife, and then I'm all these people that people expect me to be. But ultimately, I have to actually stop and take a breath for a minute and give myself some time to look after me, because if I'm not me, I can't give the best version of me to anybody else. If I'm not the best version for myself, it's not the easiest thing to kind of like think about, but also bring your mind to and actually achieve. I find this very difficult. It's something I've got to work on, but I know that when I do give myself an opportunity just to heal or to feel good about myself, or give myself half an hour to do something that's going to make me happy, then I am better for it. Sometimes it's not easy to do, however. Throughout this pandemic and throughout this journey and traveling the world in a pandemic situation has been very different. And seeing it from an athlete's perspective, I've been at home in the pandemic lockdown, and then now I'm traveling the world in a pandemic world as an athlete, and navigating through those challenges hasn't always been easy. And yes, it's, you have a lot of hats, but ultimately you need to take all those hats off and just be you. I've still got to work on that. I am very for what we stand for, which is amazing, but I've actually got to practice what I preach, because I suck at that big time, and I'm the first person to put my hand up and say so.
What I like to do is I do a lot of meditation and I paint. So I kind of do both in the same time. There was a time where I did stop painting during the pandemic because I had no motivation, and I was like, where am I going to exhibit? No one's going to come see. Like, why am I doing this? But at the end of the day, I was pushed by my husband, and while I was working on my new series, I found the motivation again, and I think that's important. As Valerie said as well, you really need to focus on your mental health so that you can be better for other people, because obviously if you're caught in this rut, it's very easy to bring on your feelings or your stress to the people that you live with, which is why you really need to focus on yourself before you can take care of others. We're all about living healthier, longer, better lives. It is important, for people out there to be able to exercise. I know a lot of people think, oh, there we go again, these people talking about exercising, and it's not about looking fit, it's about staying fit mentally and within. And obviously you get to release so much when you're doing something, whether it is lifting or even just walking at a very slow pace. You get to release things, and you get to kind of reset your mind. And for you to be successful as a person or as a parent, you really need to take these little steps, and you need to focus and know that, as Valerie said, things don't happen overnight. Success is patience, basically. So you need to, to kind of pinpoint the things that you need to change or that you want to work on, and work on those things on a daily basis. Whether it will take you a month or 3 years, you just don't give up. You just keep on working on the things you want to work with, and finally you will reach that final state that you will be happy with. But people need to know that it doesn't happen overnight. Magic, there's not that kind of magic. It's all about hard work, perseverance, patience, determination, and having a why at the end of the tunnel. I just like to congratulate Valerie, because she said she has 2 children, which is already, for me, I'm like, with one, I'm like, I have to do this. It's so tiring. But I really had a difficult time being motivated after I gave birth, because as a woman, though, people kind of tell you when you give birth, a lot of things change. Your lifestyle, your body, the way you see things. You're prepared for it, but at the same time, you're not. And I can only imagine the amount of dedication and hard work you need to put into, to be back in the game and do what you do and be away from your family. I haven't been away from my daughter for more than literally 8 hours. And every time I think about going back to work, I'm like, not happening. So I just wanted to say that I truly respect that about you, and that I don't know how you do it. But congratulations. And I'm so happy that everything's going well there at the Olympics, and that you're able to motivate so many people out there that are living through you guys, and also, just kind of getting their mind off of the situation that's going on.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate your kind words. Yeah, but it's amazing to see your connection with your followers and just how much they actually adore you, because whatever you're doing is obviously having a positive influence on them, even as a mum more so. And I don't know if this has happened with you, but when I was an athlete, I had like a different type of audience. And then when I became a mum, and I had both my kids via IVF, so you also touch people in a different community and a different audience, which was awesome because it just widened your audience and actually how many people you can really influence, which is amazing. We can use this platform to the best of our ability in a positive manner to really uplift people.
I agree with, it's nice to keep things light and to kind of, connect with different audiences.
By the way, I really appreciate it.
No worries. I'm just home as usual.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye. See you.
Bye-bye.